We are living in the noisiest time in human history, a world where distraction is no longer an accident, it's a design. Everything is built to steal your attention, your phone, your feed, your fears. Every beep, every buzz, every notification, all carefully engineered to pull you away from yourself. And the truth is, it's working. We scroll more than we speak. We consume more than we create. We react more than we reflect. We've become addicts of the urgent, slaves to stimulation, hungry for dopamine but starved of depth. And in this chaos, we've lost something sacred. We've lost the art of focus, and that loss is costing us more than we realize, because focus is not just about productivity. It's about presence. It's about power. It's the gateway to your genius, your peace, your purpose. Without focus, you drift, you scatter, you survive, but you don't thrive. You do more, but become less. You're busy, but not anchored. You're moving, but not moving forward. And maybe that's why you feel so tired. Not just physically tired, but soul tired. Because distraction is exhausting. Every time you switch tasks, your brain burns energy. Every time you chase the next thing, you abandon the present one. And over time, that constant shift leaves you empty, like a browser with too many tabs open. You're on, but you're not okay. But here's the truth they don't want you to know. Focus is a choice. It's not just a personality trait or a talent. It's a muscle. It can be trained, it can be sharpened. And in a world that's constantly trying to divide your mind, choosing focus, even for 10 minutes, is an act of rebellion. It's a declaration that your mind is yours, that your attention is not for sale, that you will no longer give the best of your energy to the cheapest noise. That's power. That's sovereignty. And most people won't understand it. They'll think you're distant, cold, obsessive. They won't get why you don't reply instantly, why you don't check your phone every 5 minutes, why you guard your mornings like gold. Let them misunderstand, because you're not here to be available, you're here to be effective. You're not here to be liked, you're here to be aligned. And that alignment takes discipline. It takes silence. It takes boredom. It takes logging off when everyone else is scrolling. It takes sitting still long enough to hear your own voice, not the one the world gave you, but the one buried deep beneath the noise. That voice is not loud, but it is wise. It knows what matters. It knows where your energy belongs. But you'll never hear it if you don't make space. You'll never feel clarity if you don't claim your focus back, because clarity is not something you stumble into. It's something you fight for. And make no mistake, this is a fight, a daily one, against distraction, against comparison, against the addiction to always being stimulated. And the only way to win it is to remember what's at stake, your life, because your attention shapes your reality. What you focus on becomes what you feel. What you feel becomes what you believe. And what you believe becomes how you live. So every time you let distraction win, you give away a piece of your life to something that doesn't deserve it. But every time you choose to focus, truly focus, you take that life back. You reclaim your mind, your time, your essence. You stop reacting and you start responding. You stop scattering and you start creating. And in that moment, you become dangerous, not because you're aggressive, but because you're clear. And clarity is rare. Clarity cuts through noise. Clarity gets things done. Clarity changes lives, but clarity starts with focus, and focus starts now. People don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they can't hold their focus, not for hours, not even for minutes. They get distracted before the magic begins, before the roots take hold, before momentum has a chance to build, because here's the truth, everything meaningful takes time. Transformation takes time. Mastery takes time. Creation takes time. And that time demands your attention, not your multitasking, not your half-hearted glances, not your, let me check this one thing real quick. No, it demands your presence, full, undivided, Because focus is how you turn noise into music, how you turn information into insight, how you turn ideas into impact. But we live in a world of dopamine loops, quick hits, constant scroll, notifications that train your brain to crave novelty, not depth. So when you try to focus, your mind resists, it rebels, it begs for escape, it tells you you're bored, you're tired, you're not inspired. But that's not truth. That's withdrawal. That's your brain detoxing from chaos. And the only way to get through it is to stay. Stay with the work. Stay with the discomfort. Stay with the silence long enough to break through it. Because on the other side of that silence is you. The you with vision. The you with clarity. The you that doesn't chase 10 things at once and wonder why none of them work. And once you meet that version of yourself, everything changes. You stop being pulled in 100 directions. You stop confusing motion with progress. You stop mistaking noise for importance. And you start asking better questions. What actually matters? What actually moves the needle? What's actually mine to do? And, most importantly, where is my attention right now? Because nothing will define your future more than the answer to that last question. Not your intentions, not your dreams, but your focus. Focus is the difference between energy wasted and energy transformed. Focus is the fire that turns effort into excellence. But here's the uncomfortable part. Real focus often feels boring. It feels repetitive. It feels like you're not moving fast enough. Because it's not shiny. It's not instantly gratifying. It's not performative. Focus doesn't care if people are watching. Focus doesn't need applause. It needs consistency. It needs solitude. It needs a sacred no to everything that isn't aligned. And most people can't handle that. They think something's wrong when it gets quiet, when progress is invisible. But the truth is, that's when the real work is happening. That's when the foundation is being built. That's when your mind sharpens, your skills grow, your soul aligns. But you only reach that place if you stay, if you trust the process longer than you trust your cravings, if you value depth more than you fear missing out. Because focus isn't just about doing more, it's about doing what matters most, with intensity, with intention, with presence. And when you live like that, the world changes, not all at once, but in the quiet details. You finish what you start. You hear your own voice again. You begin to trust your rhythm, your timing, your truth. You create momentum, not just motion, momentum, the kind that compounds, the kind that lifts you up, not burns you out, the kind that builds legacy, not just noise. But that kind of momentum is only possible if you master the muscle that most people let atrophy, your focus. Focus is not just a skill, it's a shield, a filter, a silent boundary that says, not everything gets access to me. Not every message deserves a reply. Not every request deserves a yes. Not every opportunity deserves my energy. Because the moment you start protecting your focus, you start protecting your life. You stop letting people pull you into their chaos. You stop answering questions that aren't aligned with your direction. You stop explaining yourself to people who never earned your attention in the first place. And suddenly, your days feel different, quieter, sharper, cleaner. You feel less cluttered, not just on your desk, but in your mind. And that's when you realize the world hasn't changed. You have. You've stopped giving your energy to things that subtract and started investing it where it multiplies. You're no longer controlled by urgency. You've become intentional with your inputs, what you read, what you watch, who you listen to. Because everything you consume is shaping your ability to focus. Every distraction is a tiny leak in the container of your potential. And if you don't plug those leaks, you'll always feel like something's missing, like your best work is just out of reach. But it's not. It's right here, behind the wall of your discipline. Discipline to say no to the easy. Discipline to say yes to the deep. Discipline to choose clarity over noise. And here's the thing. The deeper you go into focus, the more you realize how much of life is noise, how many conversations are hollow, how many activities are escapes, how many goals aren't even yours. And that clarity can be lonely, because most people are addicted to distraction. They bond over complaints, over urgency, over shared anxiety. So when you step back, when you focus, it threatens them. Your presence becomes a mirror, and your silence becomes loud. But don't let that pull you back. Stay with it. Stay grounded in your own lane. Let others chase, you build. Let others talk, you move. Let others consume, you create. Because you're not here to compete with noise. You're here to rise above it, quietly, steadily, powerfully. And the only way to do that is to own your attention, to decide, this gets my focus, this gets my hours, this gets my heart. And the rest? Let it go. It's not yours, not your timeline, not your emergency, not your standard. You don't need to be everywhere. You need to be deeply where it matters. That's the shift, from wide to deep, from scattered to solid, from passive consumption to purposeful creation. And that shift doesn't come from motivation. It comes from mastery, the mastery of focus, the kind that doesn't break at the first ping, the kind that can sit with silence and thrive in it, the kind that knows, if it doesn't build me, it doesn't belong here. And that mindset, that energy, it changes everything. It doesn't just make you more productive, it makes you untouchable. Not because you're faster than everyone, but because you're more aligned than most. And in a distracted world, alignment is rare, which makes it powerful, which makes you powerful. Focus is not just the ability to zero in, it's the wisdom to zoom out first, to ask what actually matters. Where does my energy go that creates real momentum? Because here's the truth no one wants to admit. You can be hyper-focused on the wrong thing. You can be obsessed with tasks that lead nowhere. You can be productive and still be wasting your life, because what you give your focus to becomes your life. So the question is not just, can I focus? The real question is, am I focusing on the right thing? Because in an age of endless options, your power is not in doing more. It's in doing what matters most. That means cutting the noise. That means ignoring the urgent to protect the important. That means understanding this. The most dangerous form of distraction is the one that looks productive. It's the project that keeps you busy but drains your soul. It's the conversation that feels important but leads nowhere. It's the goals that sound impressive but aren't yours. So take a breath, step back, ask yourself, what would I still care about if no one ever saw it? What would I keep building if no one ever clapped for it? What would I stay committed to if no one ever understood it? That's where your real focus belongs. On the things that move your life, even in silence. On the inner work, the core habits, the deep practice, the relationships that require your full attention, not your half-scrolling, distracted presence. Because you don't just build a great life by working harder. You build it by focusing deeper, not wider, not louder, deeper, into the one thing that pulls everything else into alignment. And most people won't do this. They'll stay on the surface. They'll do 10 things at 10% instead of one thing at 100%, because surface is safer, surface is easier, but surface never leads to transformation. Depth does. Depth changes you. Depth rewires your mind. And that depth only comes when you give your full focus to the things that deserve it. Not because they're trending, not because they're urgent, but because they're true. And here's the paradox. The more you focus on less, the more you expand. Your time stretches, your creativity sharpens, your progress accelerates, because all of your energy is unified, not pulled in 5 directions, not diluted, but concentrated, pure, powerful. That's why focus feels like a superpower, because it is. In a world of fragmentation, the person who can concentrate becomes unstoppable, not by force, but by clarity. and that clarity leads to peace. Not the peace that comes from having nothing to do, but the peace that comes from knowing you're doing the right thing, at the right pace, for the right reasons. That's the life you want, not a busy one, a centered one, a life that's not stretched thin, but rooted deep. And the deeper your focus, the less approval you need, the less noise you tolerate, the less pressure you feel to prove yourself, because you already know where you're going. That's the quiet confidence that comes from focus. It's not loud, it's not flashy, but it's real, and real is rare. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not when things calm down, not when the world stops being noisy, now, because the noise will always be there. The distractions will keep evolving. The world will keep offering you 1,000 shiny things to look at, but none of them will give you the life you want. That's something only you can build, through focus, through fierce clarity, through the daily discipline of choosing what matters and letting go of what doesn't. And it is a discipline. It's not a feeling. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel clear. But you can still choose to focus, because the truth is, your greatest breakthroughs will not come in moments of excitement. They will come in moments of resistance. When you don't want to do the thing, when your mind is begging to escape, when your habits are screaming for distraction, and in that moment, the way you respond defines who you become. That's the battle, not out there, in here, every single day, between the version of you that reacts and the version of you that responds. The distracted you versus the disciplined you. And every time you choose focus, the disciplined version grows stronger. The deeper part of you begins to lead. The shallow parts quiet down. The world doesn't get less chaotic. You just stop letting it own you, because you've anchored yourself to purpose, to vision, to something bigger than your impulses. And that's what makes you different. Not faster, not luckier, not smarter, just more committed. While others chase everything, you move in one direction. While others drown in noise, you create in silence. While others try to do more, you do what matters. Fully. That's the power of focus. And yes, it's hard. Yes, it's lonely sometimes. But it's worth it, because the results aren't just in your work. They're in your soul. You wake up knowing who you are. You go to sleep knowing what you gave your energy to. You stop apologizing for choosing depth. You stop second-guessing your pace. You stop looking sideways because you're centered. And nothing is more powerful than a centered human. One who moves slowly but decisively. One who speaks less but with weight. One who doesn't need to shout, because their presence already says enough. That's who you're becoming. Not perfect, not finished, but focused. And in this distracted age, that alone makes you rare, and rare is powerful. So stay the course. Train your focus like a warrior. Guard it like gold. Build your days around it. Build your life on top of it. Because attention is not just what you give, it's what you become. And what you become is entirely up to you. So choose wisely, choose deeply, choose now. Because focus, real, ruthless, unwavering focus, is not just how you win, it's how you wake up.